Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to today's installation of Quest Powerplay Tuesday. I will be your host, Colin Taylor, one of the certified IRA specialists here. And today we do have a very, very special treat. Dan Zitofsky from Zitofsky Capital Management, who will be here speaking to you all today. But before we get into the presentation, just a couple of housekeeping things, and then I've also got a couple of things to go over with y'all towards the end on the Quest side, but very, very quick. So Dan is with us today talking about passive wealth as the bank, specifically with seller finance notes and turnkey rentals, which is really what they specialize in. So a very brief disclaimer, as those of you, or I guess for those of you who have not been a part of our presentations in the past, this is something you may have not heard before, but Quest Trust Company does not and cannot provide any sort of tax, legal, investment, or deal structuring advice, nor do we endorse any particular product, service, or investment type. So please bear that in mind and really understand that this is truly for educational purposes. One thing that Quest really strives for is trying to educate not just our client base, but the investment community in general. So it's something we take very seriously, and the purpose of these presentations is just that, for you to kind of help expand your knowledge of some sort of alternative investment topic, self-directed topic, whatever that may be. So very, very quick, before we go ahead and bring Dan up, I do just want to give a brief introduction for him. So as I kind of already mentioned, Dan is the CEO of Zitofsky Capital Management. His team performs extensive due diligence to protect every investment for his investors and lenders. Dan has closed more than 800 fix and flips, 650 rental properties, 800 plus doors in multifamily projects, and over 1,000 private money and non-performing note transactions. So he really does have a wealth of experience when it comes to the alternative and real estate investment side of just the investment world in general. His niche is raising tons of private capital, specifically over $40 million in new money and over $400 million in velocity. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and take this off. We'll bring Dan up and allow him to tell you a little bit more about himself, about his company, and jump into the presentation. So Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on, and truly are looking forward to having you share some insights.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I really look forward to this, and I really value what Quest does. And I love your disclaimer, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I do this. It's purely educational for me as well. And I just love opening the eyes of people to see what's out there without actually going after and trying to raise money from people or selling them or anything. I just want them to open their eyes, because I've been honored and blessed to do this 34 years and help if not thousands, multiple thousands of people do the same thing. So that's truly what my pure passion is. And being able to share this with your group is amazing. So just,
yeah, and truly the power of being able to share and enlighten people to these opportunities, I think, is so fulfilling and rewarding. So I absolutely share that with you. But I'll let you go ahead and take it over. I'll give you the floor. Bring your presentation up here, and we'll get it started.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And once again, I just want to welcome everybody here, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I mean, it means a lot that you take the time out of your day to actually become, I always say, go from good to great, to learn something different than you've learned all your life on how money works and how investing works, and to really truly learn how to take control of your finances. And this is really your hard-earned money, and I definitely honor you for that, and that's why I enjoy sharing this. So I'm not going to take too much of that time, and I'm not going to talk really too much about myself. I'll just give you a little bit, but really this is about you. And have your phones ready. Just try not to have them on at the end. I'm going to give you, so you don't have to buy anything, I'm going to give you some free stuff, if that's cool with you. I always like to share free stuff and some true good quality content that I put together. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself as well. But we're going to talk, I do a lot of things, but we're going to talk about seller finance, how to be the bank, how to create seller finance notes with turnkey rentals in emerging markets. And I'm going to go through this, and a lot of this I teach over a couple days, but I'm going to do this here in a quick 40-minute. I'm going to give you some bullet points that you could actually take away from here. Maybe it helps you immediately. So a little bit about what I'm going to cover today is properties that I love. I'm going to go through the type of properties I truly love, the ARV, the after repair value, conditions, the locations, numbers, why it's the perfect investment for me, because I back my numbers out every single time, how I create a team of realtors, property managers, attorneys, short sale negotiators, and such, how I create that seller finance note to become the bank, and how do we actually fund our deals. So I just want to go over that so you actually get an idea. Obviously, I don't expect you to be able to leave this and have a full understanding today on go out and do this business, but at least if you open your eyes, you can look a little bit further. Is that fair? Thumbs up? Cool. Now, once again, I have to give a results disclaimer as well, because the results I'm showing you are not typical. Now, I'm about to show you a system that we used to get these results, but you have to understand that my results, nor my students' results, are typical, because the average person who attends any free training gets 0 results because they don't take it seriously and they don't take action. So I'm hoping after this, you take some sort of action. I'm not selling you anything. Take action on your business. Is that fair? Okay, you can put your credit cards away. You don't have to worry about being sold like some webinars. That's not what this is about. Okay, so just some of the events we do, we actually keep it really small, in a circle. We bring money to events. We bring deals to events. We like doing events where people actually get deals done. Okay, so who am I? Why should you even listen to me? I can't even believe I'm saying this. I've been a real estate investor now about 34 years, since 1990. I've closed, like you said, over $800 million and over 3,000 real estate transactions. Now, we just counted up probably close to 4,000. I've been awarded the top educator on how to raise $1 million or more in any days or less. And I personally raised myself over $30 million and used it in over $400 million of velocity. Okay, right now I hold a portfolio of over 600 assets, 2/3 of which are seller finance notes, and 1/3 are owned and operated single-family rental properties. I am also, like yourselves, I'm an LP in a lot of deals, a lot of syndications. I'm a GP on some deals. So I truly love passive income and truly love deep diving into due diligence on operators. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, Passive to Prosperous. That's got me on a lot of stages. That breaks down my business step by step and my vision and my why. Now, one of the most amazing things is I'm a husband to a wife, 3 awesome children, and 2 grandsons. That's my life. That's what I live for. And being that I've done this so long now, my true passion, my true abundance is philanthropy. I'm big part of Make-A-Wish Foundation, Operation on the Ground, and Share to Love, as well as Be Positive Foundation. So it gives me my true why. People ask me all the time, why you stay in business? Why do you keep doing what you're doing? And I put it out there because I'm hoping that what I do leads to you being abundant one day and you doing that for yourself. Because people ask me, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just relax, enjoy the beach and the boat where you're at? And it's because I have so much more I want to do. Okay, so a little bit about some of the markets I invest in. I'm in emerging markets. And real quick, what an emerging market is, I teach that pretty deep, but I'll give you an overview. Emerging markets are where there's great quality jobs in an area, low crime, okay, good schools, good infrastructure. I talk about the 1% rent to value ratio for my business model. And I'm going to go through that a little bit more, but means $100,000 property rents are about $1,000 a month. $200,000 property rents are about $2,000 a month. There's a reason why, because the numbers have to back out into those. Okay, some of the properties I love, and I talked about emerging markets, but I like the B plus to C plus areas. Okay, and I like single family residences. I do not touch multis at this time. If you talk to me in 2-3 years, potentially I will again. I sold off my 800 doors of multis. Okay, in 2019, I got out at the right time. I'm very big on economic factors. I go, like I said, I do deep due diligence, and I try not to stay in the market until the top, and I try not to stay in until the bottom. I like to be right in the middle. Okay, so I like those B to C class areas. B plus to C plus areas are essentially your blue to white collar markets, right? Don't think of your CEOs and don't think you'd be a drug and crime infested areas. Think of your markets like your blue to white collar, your office workers to your landscapers to your maintenance people. Those are the type of people that could work at Amazon plants and afford to pay your rent. That's what I really love. They take pride of ownership in having a quality rental property. Okay. I generally love, it's not all the time, but I generally love 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, okay, with an ARV, an after repair value no less than $100,000. And if you're in California, you think I'm crazy because a shed won't even be $100,000. But in markets like Ohio, Tennessee, Alabama, Indiana, Michigan, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, you'll find those markets. Okay, I want essentially no less than 100,000. So I'm in the 100,000 to 250,000. These are for my turnkey rentals that I'm going to sell the finance. Okay, if it's anything higher than that, it might become what I call a legacy property. It'll go in my rental portfolio. But for the all intents and purposes for this webinar, is it fair that we can stay in that 100,000 to 250,000? Are we good with that? Great. Okay. My goal is, I love brick ranches. I like maintenance free, right? I like brick ranches. But if I need to take a townhouse or a high ranch or a split ranch or a cape or even a condo, I will. But my ultimate buy box is, I love 3 bedrooms, 1.5 to 2 baths, brick ranches, 1,600 square foot. That's what I really love. Okay. And once again, I like to be in that one. I have to be in that 1% rent to value ratio. Now it could be a little bit off, but I can't buy a house for $100,000. Okay. That rents for $500 a month. I also can't buy a house for $400,000 that rents for $100,000 a month. The reason why is the numbers won't back out. Okay. And all in with my rehab cost, just like a fix and flip, I have to be about 50 to 70% max of ARV. And the reason why is I raise private money for my deals. I want to be able to pay my private lender back all their money with their interest in generally 12 to 18 months or less. Okay. And all the money I've raised, I've never, ever not paid $1 back. Now that means a lot for me. And I always say, trust and verify. Always look people up before you ever give them any money, before you invest with them. Look them up. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. Trust and verify me. Look me up. Okay. And the reason I know I could do that, even though you can never guarantee any kind of return, you can never guarantee anyone's money, is because the way I get into a deal, I have multiple exit strategies. And that's why I feel confident raising private capital. Okay. So why do I work with turnkey rentals, guys? Okay. Many investors out there have enough money to do one deal cash. Now, let me explain something to you. When I sold turnkey rental properties for years, I was selling for cash. So some of these properties at the time, back in the day, were going for $60,000, $70,000. Now they're going for $150,000 to $200,000. So when I sell a property for cash, if somebody comes to me with $100,000 and I'm selling them a property for $80,000, how many properties can they buy? You got it right. 1. I hope you said 1. That's it. Now, I don't sell any properties. You can't work with banks with me. I don't deal with appraisals or any of that. The reason why is because I buy these properties at 50, 60 cents on the dollar. And most banks are not going to come in and say the property is worth $100,000 when you bought it for $50,000 or $60,000, even though you did the work. And I don't have to. I have a big network of investors that want my deals. I don't need to sell them. Anyone works with banks. If you want to buy in cash and refi later, that's on you. Okay. So if you come in and let's say you buy a property for $80,000 and you have $100,000 in your IRA and you want to buy it, how many can you buy? 1. Now, if I sell you a property for $80,000 and I take 30% down on $80,000 is $24,000. How many properties with $100,000 can you buy now? 3 or 4, depending on closing costs, right? 3 or 4. So I now created ultimate net worth for you once you pay down your debt. Of if the properties don't go up $1 in value, if you bought 4 properties at $80,000 and they didn't go up $1 in value, you just created $320,000 in net worth once they paid off. I also created 4 seller finance notes for myself and created wealth for you and your family. Okay. So that's why I do that. That's why I work like that. And now when I take my 30% down, remember, I'm going to show you some numbers later. When I got my 30% down, that's going to bring back some of the money that my private lender lent me. And I'm going to show you a couple exit strategies. And we're going to talk about seller finance notes. Okay. So I work mostly in local markets. So what does a market look like? I work with local markets that are about 10,000 people in the local vicinity. Okay. But they're close enough within 45 minutes to a big city with 100,000 people. Okay. And you can find that out with a basic Google search for population. Okay. So once again, I talked about jobs. I need people to earn 3 times in gross salary of my rent. So my rent's $1,000 a month. I need to earn $3,000. Now a couple, roommates, husband and wife, somebody by themselves, they could work essentially making $17 to $20 an hour and probably make that. Okay. So we can't be in the big cities and make that work. It's not going to work, guys. Okay. Now, we also look at Economic Development Corp and Chamber of Commerce. That's very important when we look for a new market. Now, once we have the market, we don't have to keep looking. Okay. So when we look at EDC and the Chamber of Commerce, we look for that to see what plans are being put in place, what infrastructure is being put in place, what businesses are coming to the area. That's very important because business growth brings jobs. Jobs brings housing. So we want to be in the forefront of that. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So we want to check the taxes as well. Okay. We want taxes to be no more than 1.5% of the value of the property. At 2%, you really better watch your numbers and make sure it works. So we like that 1 to 1.5% range. Okay, most of our investors are happy with 6 to 8% cash on cash return, with an internal rate of return of 14 to 17%. Now, what goes into internal rate of return, real quick, because I mentioned that internal rate of return are things like debt reduction, depreciation, interest deduction. Okay, then you get potential rent increases and you get potential appreciation. Some of the things that are guarantees are interest deduction. Every time you make a payment, you can write off the interest, correct, at the end of the year. You could depreciate the house, not the land. That's a guarantee. Okay. And debt reduction. Every time you make a payment, the debt goes down. So those are the three kind of guarantees that you have with real estate investing that you don't have maybe in the stock market, which you definitely don't have in the stock market, which you might not have at other investments you're doing. Okay. So I hope that part makes sense, right? You also want to go to look at crime stats, and you want to look at public school reviews. You want to make sure you're in an area that has decent public schools, because people that want to stay there and stay in your properties, they want to make sure the quality of schools is there. Okay. How do we find our deals with asset managers or banks? Guys, I'm not going to go through this because this will take a whole training on how to do this. But if you want to screenshot it, that's exactly how I find my asset managers. That's where I buy most of my deals, direct from the banks. But I'll tell you what, you have to be consistent with us. Okay. So now people that aren't doing this, it's okay. You could buy them direct from the real estate market. You could buy them direct from wholesalers. You could buy direct from auctions. You could buy it from the MLS. You could buy deals however you could buy them. All right. But I like to buy tapes of assets. So when I look at deals, I look at tapes sometimes with 20, 30, 40, a couple hundred assets at one time. Makes my life a lot easier. But you have to build a relationship with the asset managers. This is exactly step by step. This is worth its weight in gold right here. I used to do a class on this and charge a lot of money just to teach people how to do this. So if you want to take a screenshot, and when you have time, go through LinkedIn and learn how to find asset managers and how to reach out to them. I hope this is worth the gold right now to be on. Okay. Now, how do we rehab a property? This is very important. Give me 1 second. This is very important. This might be one of the biggest things that sets me apart from most people in the industry. And I didn't do this all my career. I probably did this over the last 14 years because I learned if you don't do rehabs the right way, maintenance-free, high-end rehabs for rentals, you're going to have nothing but problems, and you're going to constantly chase your tail trying to find the investors and trying to find money and trying to find business. Okay. Got to remember, I sell most of my turnkey rental properties to people that are full-time in their business. I work with a lot of dentists. I work with physical therapists. I work with some chiropractors. I work with a lot of business owners. I work with auctioneers. They don't want to be getting phone calls that something in their property, their rental property, broke because you put lipstick on a pig. So I laugh at people all the time when they say, well, you over improve your property. And I said, I'll show you why my numbers are way better than yours every single time. So I'm going to go through some quick things I do. We keep those maintenance free, right? And how do we do that? I have certain rules. If a roof is 10 years older, I change it. If a hot water heater is 5 years older, I change it. Flooring, if they have hardwood floors, I strip them and stain them and redo them. If not, I go LVP throughout. The only time I carpet a bedroom is when it's mandated, like in a second floor condo. But obviously, I don't do too many condos. I will, in a bathroom, they will get all new fixtures. I will tile them. I will do new sinks, new toilets, new faucets. I will change everything in a bathroom. I don't leave it. If people go in there and they change the toilet seat, they don't change the toilet bowl, and then it'll leak and it'll break and you'll have leaks and you'll have bigger problems. Okay. I go as far as changing all the light plate covers, electrical outlet, vent covers, because one of my pet peeves is when you see yellow electric outlets on a wall, newly painted wall. Once again, HVAC system 10 years older and older, I change it no matter if it works or not. Roof 10 years older or older, I change it no matter if it works or not. I do this countertops. If they're in good condition, I leave them. If I change them, I do level 1 granite. In fact, you can get remnant granite from companies. I pay sometimes $400 to $600 depending on the size for that remnant. Okay. So people tell me I'm dumb for doing this all the time. They always tell me this is ridiculous. You should never be doing this. Okay. And I'll tell you why I do this right here. We outperform every property in the neighborhood by $75 to $125 more than anyone else. Our average length of stay for tenants are over 6 years. Guys, our average turnover costs right now are right over $1,500 and no more than $2,300 on average. Most people can now paint and carpet anything for that price. Most of my properties, the person moves out on the 30th or 31st, and on the 1st, somebody's already moving in because they kept in pristine condition. And worst case scenario, there's a couple touch-ups and our cleaners go in there, and that's it. And remember, we have security deposit for every tenant. So when a property stays occupied for 6 years on average, when we outrent the neighborhood by $75 to $125, when our average turnover costs are $1,500 to $2,500, and most of them are right over $1,500, and a lot of them are nothing. Okay, now for you saving $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a property, because if you don't change the HVAC now, you're changing in 2 years. Because you didn't change the toilet bowl, because you didn't do granite countertops, because you didn't do LVP. Do you think you're making more money than me when your property stays vacant? Now, if you don't do that, when the tenant moves out, you have to now work on that property for 4 to 6 weeks to get it fixed. You have to now market it. Now they have to give 2 months notice the next person moving in. You're vacant 3-4 months. Well, take your rent of $1,500 for 4 months is $6,000. Is it smart? Do you think people are going to want to move out when I have the nicest house in that area and they look at all the rentals and they see what's out there? So plus, when I sell these properties as turnkey rentals to my end investors, my turnkey investors, do you think while there's a dentist doing work in the chair, they want a phone call that something is broken on that property? I've tried it all. It was a nightmare. I decided about 14 years ago, I have to switch this. I'm not going to ever rent a property I wouldn't live in myself. That's how I do business. You can do it any way you want. Okay. How do we find buyers that are dying for our turnkey rentals? Guys, I am so huge on social media and I'm big on email marketing. I put out email marketing all the time. I'm so content rich on that. So if you're on my email list, I don't know if you've seen my emails, you're going to see constantly content. I'm always teaching on my emails. If I refer somebody to you, it's somebody I do business with, and I think they can help you. I'm very, very, very minimally try to sell anything on social media or email. It's about content. So when I go out there, I put this together, and it was last year I was doing an event, and I told the group, I said, see my Facebook post on September 18th to 15th. I was doing asset managers. I was working with asset managers that had over 200 assets in Mississippi. So I went around and I did video tours and showed and taught people what I'm doing. And from there, people reached out to me and they said, hey, we want some of those properties, or we want to fund those deals with you. We want to partner on deals with you. We have a lot of money in our IRA. We want to get involved in deals with you. So because I don't ever ask for money, I don't ever sell. I just teach. People ask me to be involved with me. Okay, so that's how I sell them. Property selling is not a hard thing. Finding good quality properties, building teams, and raising money, that's the harder part for most people. Okay, how do we break down our financing for people? Guys, we talk about the 10-10-10 and seller finance notes, and I want you to understand this. The reason 10-10-10 is so important, it's the most powerful note you can have in the industry. Whether you want to sell it, whether you want to borrow against it, whether you want to get leverage on it, whether you want to sell payments. So let me explain what the 10-10-10 is. The 10-10-10 means the borrower puts at least 10% down. I take 30% down, so I meet that. The borrower gets a mortgage rate of 10%. So I'm at 9 right now, essentially 8.99, depending on the rates are in the deal, right, to 11.99%. That's good money that's good for private money. All right. I also do a 30-year term, right? Because I want people's payments to be affordable so they can make money. I want my end buyers to make money, right? So I do a 30-year term, not a 10-year term like most, but I have a 10-year balloon. That 10-year balloon is in there only to make my loan powerful. I don't want this loan paid off, really. If I can go 50 years, I would. Why? Is I want passive income. What is the name of my education? Passive Wealth Academy. My book, Passive to Prosperous. Passive income has allowed me to live the life I want to live, life by design. I used to be very transactional. You heard that I flicked over 30 to 50 properties a year, over 800 fix and flips I've done. You've heard that. I was very transactional. I was wholesaling, very transactional. That didn't allow me to live the life I wanted to live. Okay. So that's why the 10-10-10 is so important, because I'll talk about all my strategies that I do to once I have the seller finance note, how I can get that money back to my private lender. Is that fair? So remember, 10-10-10, 10% down, 10% interest rate, and a 10-year balloon. Make sure you have that 10-year balloon or a 10-year amortization, because some people don't want to buy your note if you want to sell them if it's a 30-year amortization, a 30-year balloon. They want to make sure they get, some people want their money back faster. I don't, but they do. Okay. So I have 5 exit strategies. Once I do seller financing, and you see my picture here, I'm doing a whiteboard training. If you ever see me live, you see the whiteboard. And I used to sit down with my investors and do what we call the napkin presentation. It became actually famous, the napkin presentation. It's all over social media. It's YouTube. People send me pictures. I think we got a couple of hundred pictures of my napkin presentation. I don't really do them too much anymore. But here's what we do, right? So I want my investors to get all their money back, my private lenders, all their money back in 12 to 18 months or less. And I stay in the deal for the next 10 to 30 years, earning monthly income with no tenants, toilets, or trash. Once again, I tell people I am a lazy investor. I used to work my butt off. Now I love enjoying life by design. And I talk about it and I live it. I'm going to show you. Are you cool with me showing you an actual deal? Okay. We just did, I just pulled one we did last year, and I put it together for an event I did. So I'm going to show you an actual deal. And I'm going to show you proof of this, if that's cool. Okay, here's a deal in Bellefontaine, Ohio. Okay, I bought this deal in short sale. Right now, if you look it up, it's valued at probably 165, 170. So my end buyer made a ton of money already. Okay, when we sold it to him, it was valued at 135 last year. We purchased it for a short sale, one of my students, for $55,000. And all-in cost was only $17,309 in rehab and soft cost. Okay, so we sold this property for $24,000 with $24,000 down for 30 years, right? 30% down. Okay, 24,000. Wait 1 second. We sold this one. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let me just see on this one here. I might have give this guy something else. It still works, but let me make sure. This one is $40,000 down. I'm sorry, $39,000 down. I apologize about that. Gotta fix that. Okay, so that's $40,000 down. We sold 30% down on 135, so it was $39,000 down for 30 years. Okay, here you can see right here. That's a copy of the HUD. There's a real HUD, guys, from a title company. See, we sold it for $135,000 on the second line. And if you go down to debit, you'll see seller finance note for $94,500. Okay. So they put down $39,000. So remember, we're into this deal for right around $70,000, and we already got $40,000 back. So now we're only in the deal for another $30,000. Okay. And that's the closing statement that I was talking about. And there's the contract show we sold it. $40,500 down at closing. I said 39. I'm sorry. I'm just going off memory. And $94,500 seller finance note. Remember, we only owe our private lender $30,000 more because we took $70,000 and we got $40,500 at closing. So we have a $94,500 note that we only owe $30,000 more on. Okay, here's proof. We have this service, what FCI Lender Services. You can see the payments coming every month on this note. And if you're looking at that, $678.41. Okay, now think about that. I could have sold this property and made myself probably $30,000, but $678 times 360 months is $244,000. Okay, on a deal like this. So I exceed what I can make on a flip every single time. Okay, now talk about strategies. Let's talk a little bit about strategies. Exit strategy 1. I'm going to go through multiple strategies with you guys. And I wish I had a whiteboard here that I could actually draw it out and train on it. But you could ask me questions. We'll talk about questions at the end. And I talk about this all in my book as well. But strategy 1 is you could take that note, you could sell a full note in order to recapitalize and stay in the deal. So you could sell that note $94,500 if you do it correctly. People offer me par, which is 94.5, up to 103% because they want to collect those payments. Okay, they like those payments in their IRA. I did that in the beginning. I would sell my note to recapitalize and buy more deals. So you see, even if I sell that note, now I made more money. The better strategy came after that. Now remember this. I'm going to go like this so you can see, if you see my hands. Note 1, first mortgage. Note 2, second mortgage. I owe my private lender $30,000 more. So what do you think I do? I put a $30,000 second mortgage here. I sell it off, right? So they owed me $94,500 up top. $94,500. This is $30,000, so it'll be $64,500 first. I sell off the second. I get the other $30,000. I'm paying my private lender back, and I rate whatever it is with interest. I pay him back with interest, and now I have a $64,000 first mortgage that I keep for the next 30 years without any money in the deal. And my private lender got all their money back plus interest. And what do you think they want to do once they got all their money back? You got it. They want that money back in place, and I can buy more deals. Right? Pay your private lender back, protect them first. Before you make a dollar, they make their money back. First in, first out, always protect them. You'll never have a problem raising private money. Okay? So that's the split. First, second, sell the second, or sell the first and stay in one or the other. Pretty easy. That's option 2. Okay? Another strategy. That's really 1A, 1B, but I'm going to say option 2. Next strategy is you have one note for $94,500. You sell a partial. Partials are payments. You sell payments. Once again, I have 360 payments, 30 years. I could turn around and I could sell some of those payments. I could figure out how much of my IRA, 401k, health savings account, Coverdell investor has, what kind of return they want on their money, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12%. Okay. They have $40,000. They come to me and they said, Dan, I have $40,000 in my self-directed IRA request. What can I do with it? I'm happy with a 7% return on my money if it's pretty conservative. Okay, so I figure out how much the payments are, $678, how much they can invest to get 7% on their money, or 8% or 9%, whatever we decide, how many payments I would sell them. Let's say I sell them 50 payments. They get 50 payments. What do you think happens on the 51st payment? It comes right back to me. Now think about this. I sold them payments at $40,000. I only needed 30 more from my private lender. I paid my private lenders $30,000 back, plus I put $10,000 in my pocket. And from payment 51 to 360, I get paid $678 a month. Isn't that sexy? If you're not smiling right now, I don't know what's wrong, because that's pretty sexy. Okay. Hypothecate. Let's talk about that. That's option 4, hypothecating. I have a $94,000 note, very similar to partials. But now I have a $94,000 note. I turn around and you say, hey, I have $40,000. And I say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower, how much do you want on your $40,000? We decide they want 8%. So that's $3,200 a year divided by 12 is $266.67. Well, I'm collecting $678 and I'm giving you the balance. So now I pay you your return on investment. Okay. And I have to figure out the numbers. I'm just guesstimating here, but just so you know, don't hold me to every penny. I'm just spitballing numbers at you because we're live. I'm making about $400 a month after paying you your private money and your interest. And what happens if they don't pay? Do you think I'm ever going to let this loan foreclose? I'm going to turn around and pay you off so I can go back and foreclose on this property. Why? Because now this property is worth $165,000. The borrower put down $40,000, $500. The rent is $1,450 a month. Do you think I'm ever going to let this thing foreclose? The worst thing that happens is they pay me back. Now, I say that facetiously. I never want to foreclose on somebody. But if they don't pay me back, I take their $40,500. I take the property back. I resell it again for $165,000 with another 30% down. Do you think they're ever not going to pay me back? The best thing that happens is they don't. And now I'm going to talk about the last strategy. It's not an easy strategy to do. You have to have a relationship with your local banks. Don't go into Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or any of those banks. You have to have your local credit unions. You have to sit down with the bank, the VP of the bank, the VP of lending and credit. And when you have a couple on the seller finance note, show it to them. Say, listen, I want to get a business line of credit. Here's what I'm willing to pledge against that. What can you do for me? Now, some will be interested, some won't. I happen to have two that work with me. And that just because they work with me doesn't mean they're going to work with you. But because we have a pretty nice portfolio, they're all underwritten. I'm going to go through the collateral, the documents we have, the deals we have. So they love my deals. They want my deals. They want me to borrow against my deals. Think about lines of credit against your notes. They offered me 4 to 10 times leverage on my note. So a $100,000 note would be $400,000 to $1 million at prime minus a quarter. Now, I don't take it. I have it. I don't use it because I don't need to use it because I can raise private money. But think about this. If you have a $100,000 note and you can get $400,000 to $1 million in leverage at prime minus a quarter, or whatever relationship they work with you, that's up to the bank and yourself. That is not something we do, but you have to build that relationship. But that's just another strategy. So now think about this. People are like, well, I don't want my money stuck in a note. Well, I just give you 5 strategies. 4 you can control. The 5th, you have to work with your bank. Sell your note, split it up for first and second, sell the second, or sell the first and stay in the other one. Do a partial or hypothecate. You hold the gold. When you have a seller finance note, you hold the gold. Once again, and I didn't mention it, I do not do seller finance and owner-occupied borrowers. Only non-owner occupied borrowers, which is why I do turnkey rentals. Why do I do that? I don't have to deal with Dodd-Frank. I don't have to deal with CFPB. I can do as many loans as I want. I'm going to tell you this. Check with your local banking department. There are a couple states you have to be careful. When I say careful, you have to make sure you follow their guidelines because they don't look at residential or commercial as different. I don't work in those states. That's up to you to check your states. Call the local banking department. If you do owner-occupied, make sure you call your local banking department. And also, always, always, always underwrite owner-occupied borrowers with an RMLO, a registered mortgage loan originator. Do not do it without that. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem potentially foreclosing if you need to. You're also not going to be able to sell your note or nobody without shanghaiing somebody. Okay, because it's not a performing note if it's not underwritten. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you should have it serviced. You have to have it serviced. I think it's ridiculous not to have it professionally serviced by a licensed third-party servicing company that also has a credit license. I don't want to be involved in it. Once again, I'm going to be a lazy investor and I don't want to mess it up. I hope that's good with my 5 exit strategies. I go through details with them. Okay, where do you find investors to fund your deals? I mean, look, we're on here right now. There is a tremendous amount of IRA investors. Now, Quest cannot openly tell anybody to invest in your deals, but if you do education, if you do things the right way, you will never ask for money a day in your life. Everybody has what they call the hero syndrome. They like to tell everybody they found the best guy or the best girl that does this business, and they want to tell everybody how good you are. So I get tremendous amount of referrals. I speak at events because I do things ethically, honestly, and abundantly. And that's what you do. And people come to you and they say, how can I be part of it? And that's what you want, but you can't ask them. You can't sell them. It's not that type of business. Okay. Build relationships first. I always tell people when I fund your deals, because I do some private lending, when I fund your deals, don't just come to me and ask me for money. Build a relationship. Do your due diligence. Protect me. Look out for me more than you look out for yourself. And then maybe 6 months, 9 months, you might get a deal. Let me see what you're doing. Okay. So where do you find your investors? Education is key. So educate people. A lot of people don't know that they could do self-directed IRAs with Quest Trust. They don't know they can do self-directed Roths. They don't know about solo 401ks. Okay. They don't know about health savings accounts. Probably one of the best investment vehicles there is because it's tax-free in, tax-free out. Okay. They don't know about covered accounts and paying your kids. Teach them how to pay their kids tax-free. Okay. Once again, I am not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I will always have an accountant or an attorney side by side with me to kind of bless me. I will have a custodian with me saying, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can't, because they are the experts. Okay. So having Quest Trust here is great because they can say, yes, you can do that. Yes, you can't. No, you can't. Okay. Get with some life insurance agents. I'm not a life insurance agent, but I learned everything I could learn about whole life and infinite IULs, becoming your own bank. It's important to understand that because a lot of people have the money there. Okay, I'm not selling them on it, but I want to be educated on it. I want to have a conversation about it if they have it. A lot of people just have home equity lines of credit. They have lines of credit and they don't know what to do with it. They have a lot of money sitting in savings account, checking account, money market account, CD accounts, and they're watching inflation bypass what they're making on their money in the banks. Educate yourself on that. Talk about it. Okay. But once again, please don't guarantee any returns to anything. Don't guarantee a deal is foolproof. Even me, I'm not guaranteeing anything. The only thing I'm going to ever guarantee to you is that I will mitigate the risk the best I possibly could, because I don't control everything. I could try to control what I can control. And once again, I've never lost a dollar for anybody, but who in the world knows what could happen in this world, right? We saw banks come to be taken down. Nothing's guaranteed. Your money in the bank is not a guarantee. So I just want to make sure. I see it all the time. I see people make these guarantees, and it's just very important not to do that. And really more important, to honor the people who saved all their money for retirement their whole lives. And listen, if somebody needs a ridiculous return on their money, it's better to walk away and not take that deal. I always say the best deal is the one you don't do, because I'm not going to take these great risks to try to make these great returns for people. And I always underpromise and overdeliver. And I've lived that my whole life, and that's why I've never lost a dollar for anyone. Lost my money because I've trusted people I shouldn't have trusted. So I just want to put that out there, because you hear, and there's a lot of people that will come to you and tell you how great a deal is. And I always say there's not a performer I ever didn't fall in love with. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the Power 5 loan docs. Okay. This is what we do when we sell or finance a deal to somebody. Okay. Now, if we do it to a self-directed IRA, 401k, we can't personally guarantee it. Just so you understand, we're on this call. Some people might be doing things with their self-directed IRA. You can't personally guarantee from self-directed, okay? But the docs we do, and I'm explaining to you what I do, is I do a mortgage, and that's recorded. The two docs I've recorded is the mortgage, okay, and the assignment of rents. And I'll explain those real quick. So those are the two docs that are recorded. The rest of the docs aren't recorded. They're just notarized. The mortgage is the document, okay, that actually spells out what happens if you don't pay. Okay. I'm not going to teach a class on legal docs, but I'm talking about what I have. So that's why it's recorded. It's a document recorded against the property. If you don't pay, it allows me to foreclose on you. Okay. Assignment of rents. Okay. This is what happens when you don't pay. I basically, since it's recorded, I basically turn this over, and within 30 days, essentially, where the markets I'm in, the tenant will now, instead of paying you rent as a turnkey investor buyer, they will now pay me as the bank the rent. Okay. So once again, I'm talking about how powerful my docs are. Okay. Promissory note. Promissory note basically spells out the terms of the deal, the interest rates, the payments, when it's due, what happens if it's late. I do one better. My promissory note also charges the borrower for the servicing. And I want to do that because I want to make sure that they're protected, that they get their mortgage interest statement, that everything is filed properly, and I don't screw it up. So it doesn't even cost me $1 to do the servicing. I charge it to the borrower, but it has to be in your promissory note. Okay. Then other than self-directed IRA, solo 401ks and stuff like that, if somebody's personally borrowing in their LLC, I have them personally guarantee it. Now, very important, when they personally guarantee it, if they're married, husband and spouse, partners, both sign. They have to both sign this. Okay. If they don't both sign it, there's nothing you can do, because somebody's in the house and the spouse says, well, I personally guarantee it, but I didn't. So you can't come against it. And I see this all the time, because now I'm mentoring a lot of people on how to become private lenders. And I see a lot of time that documents are so bad. So make sure you do that. If you do a personal guarantee, both parties sign. Okay. And then confession of judgment. This prevents a long court battle. Basically says, my hands are up in the air. I confess to a judgment against me personally. So those are the 5 docs. Once again, your mortgage, your assignment of rent, both of those are recorded, county clerk's office. Promissory note, personal guarantee, unless it's self-directed IRA, 401k, covered health savings, stuff like that, and confession of judgment. I just wanted you to know, once again, this is what makes my note so powerful. I'm not here teaching you how to be a private lender. I'm teaching you why my note is so powerful, why my self-finance note is so powerful, and how I'm so protected. Once again, not guaranteed, powerful, protected. I have the 10-10-10. I have the Power 5 docs. I have 30% down on my deal. It's fully rehabbed. It's rented. It's professionally managed. It's an emerging market. It has all the benefits, and it has the Power 5 docs. So I hope that part helps. Okay. So once again, it's why these deals are sought after in the industry. I already talked a lot about this. I'm not going to read through each part of this, but I want you to know why they're so, why they're so sought after in the industry and banking industry. That's why the banks like to give me leverage on these, because of my collateral file, because of my underwriting, because of the quality of my deals, because of the numbers on them, because they're very well protected. They feel confident in them. And people are like, why would the banks give you leverage like that? Well, I have to personally guarantee when I sign for leverage. So they're coming after me personally for my whole portfolio if something happens. But do you think I'm going to let something happen because somebody to make a $678 mortgage payment? There's no way. I'll make that payment and I'll be happy to foreclose. Okay. I told you we set up all our loans. I have 98% of my loans with FCI. I have a couple other servicing companies, but FCI is my go-to. I don't work for them. I'm not telling you have to use them. I just like to put all my stuff in one spot if I could. So that's who I use. I just want to share that with you openly. I'm not an affiliate. I don't work for them and nothing like that. That's where I put mine, because I tell people I have my loan service. Okay. Once again, get your phones out, because I am going to answer questions, but I want to give you some free stuff if that's cool. I'll give you the QR code. You can text it. I personally wrote this. There's not a fee for this. It's seller financing. You get a free copy. It's like a giant cheat sheet, how to do exactly what I do. It's a quick cheat sheet. I wanted to personally write this for these events I do. So you get that. You could either scan that QR code or text the word seller financing to 888-503-4061. I will have some other stuff, my contact info. I'll have you scan that as well. But if you guys have any questions, we'll answer those in a second. Once again, if you need a copy of my book, if you haven't seen it, Pass Up to Prosperous, you can grab a copy of my book. This lays out my vision, my why, but it also lays out step-by-step how to do everything I just talked about. It's a pretty easy read. Once again, I'm not here to sell you a book. In fact, I donate every dollar I get. This donation goes to Chair to Love. It's for wheelchairs, for underserved people who can't actually be ambulatory. I'm part of that group right now. But you could text the word passive to 888-503-4061 as well. And then at the end, I will give you my contact info. But if you have any questions before we get off, let me give you my contact info. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them now. I know we went pretty quick in this, but I did want to give you guys some time to answer any questions you might have, because I know this is a difficult topic. But I hope I answered everything, or at least I opened your eyes to something brand new that you might not even have thought of. And maybe you found a way that you can turn around and say, you know what? I like doing my deals. I like making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per deal, over $678 a month. But remember, guys, I said I did 4,000 transactions in my career. My biggest regret is how many I sold without doing this. Now, let's just say you didn't do 4,000. Let's say you did 50 transactions and you only made $678 a month times 50 transactions. You're now making about $34,000 a month living the life you want to live with no tenants, toilets, or trash. It's front-loaded work, but once you're done, it's very easy from there. So I wanted to spell out to you and prove to you exactly what I do. And anybody that knows me knows I do this. I'm in the trenches day in and day out. I'm looking at tapes day in and day out. I'm bidding on properties every single week. I'm buying properties a couple times a month. So it's not something, this is not theory. This is something I actually do day in and day out. And I want to share that with you because I'm hoping that you open your eyes and not that you do anything with me, even that you do this even yourself, that you can do this. And there's a lot of moving parts to it. Finding an emerging market. You got to first, I tell people, find the market you want to be in, do some research on the market you want to be in. Okay. Then actually start building a team in that market, build your contractors, your realtors, your property managers, your attorney, your title company. Make sure you know that market. Make sure you know what the properties are worth. Make sure you know what the rent is worth. Make sure you know who's going to fix those properties for you. And be okay if people screw it up. You could always fix it. People are so scared to screw it up. You're not done until you quit. We've all got hit in the gut, but we don't quit. That's what makes us go from good to great. And you guys definitely have greatness within you. Everybody does. There's some kind of greatness and genius zone in you. Just figure that out and keep moving forward. But if you have any questions, once again, ask them. I'm going to put up my contact info here while we're asking questions. You can scan it. And you get all my contact info, my social media stuff, because people always ask me that. And to follow me, I constantly am putting content out there. We're building that YouTube page up. We're starting to move our videos there. So slowly you get more and more videos on YouTube, because what happens is I put all my videos on Facebook and they get buried down over the years. And people ask me from videos from 2 years ago. And I can't find them. So we're going to slowly give us time. We're moving everything to YouTube and we're moving all our systems. You'll get our email and we'll get content. I have a whole slew of things I want to write and teach you guys on. So I appreciate your time today, and I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, great stuff, Dan. And really, like I mentioned in the beginning, we just appreciate your expertise, your knowledge, and more than anything, your willingness to share that with us. I did not know you were a Share the Love guy. I did.
Oh, yeah.
I got involved with Augie. I don't know, it was probably a year and a half ago in Indiana. We were up there with. That's an incredible group of people, an incredible charity. The purpose is just so meaningful.
Oh, yeah. I committed to 10,000 wheelchairs by December 31st, 2027. So when I run so here's the thing. Any training I sell, any books I sell, any of my events I do, because I do 2 to 3 events myself a year, small events, intimate events where I teach what I teach, and I do 1 or 2 inner circle events. And any dollar amount that above and beyond of what we pay for the event goes to that. And we're making some nice strides. I was big with Make-A-Wish Foundation doing that. I was big with Operation On the Ground. We just did a huge thing with Be Positive Children's Cancer Foundation. That's what keeps me doing this stuff, right? Because people are like, why do you even teach? Why do you do events? Why do you do sales? Why do you do it? I mean, because there's a greater purpose. There's like the number one core value in my life is abundance. So it allows me to do a couple things. I love to teach and love on people, right? And you have to have 3 things, right? You got to make money, you got to have fun, and you got to help people. But if you don't make money, you can't help people, right? You can, but you can't do 10,000 wheelchairs by December 31st, 2027. Now, I don't know if I'll hit that. I always have these crazy trajectories I look for. But yeah, so Augie was at my last event, and we raised, I think we raised like $18,000 in my first event with him. And I'm speaking at an event, speaking at an event, I think in Indiana and in Alabama both. And he'll be there, and I just like all the money we bring in, we'll pour right into that. So it's just doing great for other people while teaching people what you do, and it created my true purpose, because they had nicknamed me, a small story. They nicknamed me the most depressed millionaire you'd ever meet, because I hit that number, I hit the passive income, and I just wasn't feeling fulfilled, and I didn't know what it was. And I talk about this story on stage, and it's a longer story. We can get into it. People see me in person, ask me about it. I'll talk about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, how it changed my life. And, I was an executive producer of the movie Wishman about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he became my mentor, and it changed my life. And that's my true passion and purpose right now. And I finally live an abundant life. I always, people talk about it, but they don't live it, right? They go, oh, we're going to be abundant. We're going to do. There's a difference between talking about it and being about it. And when you truly are about it, your life changes. And that's why I love doing stuff like this and really helping people. Like, I get on and I'm not charging anybody for anything right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, incredibly powerful. Okay, so we do have a few questions that came in, getting back on topic here, and really quick, I just have a couple of announcements on Quest's side of things that I want to give to everybody. So very first thing, for anybody that's interested in learning more about how to use a self-directed IRA, how to invest with Dan, how to buy turnkey rentals, how to purchase notes, please, I implore you all to contact us. Get in touch with an IRA specialist, whether it be myself, somebody else on my team, and find out, what kind of advantages, what can you use a self-directed IRA for? What might interest you, and how does that fit into your portfolio? What might be the best type of account for you? These are all things that we want to help you with. We want to have a discussion. So, like I said, I encourage you all to have a conversation with us. Feel free, if you are new to our webinars, if maybe this is the first or first a few times you've heard about Quest, scan that QR code. Take advantage now of a completely free consultation. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have and really have a detailed discussion about your retirement plans, about your investment opportunities, setting up your own self-directed IRA, whatever you might need. And then the last thing here, this information got a little bit skewed, but for right now, whether you are a current client or a prospective client or customer, and you're interested in setting up an account, maybe moving some funds in, we are offering a rewards for a deposit promotion right now. So if you're moving anywhere between $100,000 and up into an IRA with us, we are offering different ranges of account credits. So 100 to 300,000 is 125, 3 to 600, 250, and anything above that will be a $500 account credit. I know those numbers are kind of right on top of each other there. But that should be everything I have here. I'm going to go ahead and throw your information back up. Sorry, I had to sneeze really quick. Okay, so Dan, we had a few questions come through here. Some of them which their neighbors already answered. What is, after repair value? Somebody found the partial as an exit strategy to be very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Question here from Dolores. Do the borrower's names have to match on promissory note and mortgage documents?
They'd have to explain a little bit more. Whoever is going to be on the mortgage and the promissory note would be the same. Now, it could be purchased in an LLC. Generally, you're going to purchase those in an LLC, okay, unless you're using your self-directed IRA. But you would purchase an LLC, and the promissory note and the mortgage would be the same. It'd be the same LLC name, but then you would you'd have a personal guarantee. So if your business was, I hope I'm answering this right. If I'm not, give me a follow-up question. Mm-hmm. Your business is ABC Holdings LLC, okay, and then your name is, Mary Smith. So ABC Holdings LLC would be on the mortgage and the promissory note and all the docs, but the personal guarantee would be Mary Smith. And if you are married, your spouse. Now, if that doesn't answer the question, feel free to ask me another one. I apologize.
Yeah, Dolores, if there's a follow-up to that. Several other comments here. I think you were so comprehensive. There weren't a ton of questions. That may have been.
But I put people to sleep.
Really are only one other than what is ARV.
I scared them. I mean, generally, I teach this stuff in 2 days, detailed 2 full days. So I try to really take this and condense it down to 45 minutes. And really just I want you to really open up your eyes to what's available, not thinking you're going to get on a 40-minute, webinar and really learn the ins and outs of everything, but be like, wow, this is something I didn't think of. Let me do some more due diligence on this, is what you should do. Because once again, trust and verify everything I tell you.
Yeah. And Dolores did clarify, yes, land trust is buying and borrower adds personal name too. Well, that is bringing us to right at 1 o'clock now. So with a little bit of time we have left, Dan, regarding, your other education, ways to get in touch with you, find out about investment opportunities. I just assume scanning this QR code, that's really going to be the best way to kind of connect with you and your team.
Exactly. Scan that QR code. Stay tuned. I'm now that summer's, in the second half of summer, I try not to do too much in the summer because once again, I live at the beach and I have a boat. So I'm always on the beach. And I have different topics I teach on. I do have a couple, potential live events coming up that I do. My live events are very small and they sell out very quickly. Once again, it's not about making money. It's about teaching and doing something abundant with it. And we keep those live events depending on the event. It's anywhere from 15 to 30 people max. 30 people is an open training. 15 people is I call it the passive wealth in a circle workshop. That's where we actually come in and everybody's doing deals together. Everyone has money and do deals. It's more for experienced investors. But my 2-day training, anyone could come to. It's 30 people max. And like I said, we sell it out pretty quick. We don't charge a lot for that, but we sell it out pretty quick. And it's just so we can get together. I can teach this. I literally open up the laptop into a workshop. I open the laptop and live show you how to find deals, find asset managers, build a market, find private lenders on the spot live. I do it. And anyone that's been there, I don't know if they're on this call. If they've been there on this call, they can comment in the comment section and tell people how it was. It's blown away. It's probably not saying it because it's mine, but I've been told it's the best event. And that's what I don't want to be an event planner. That's not what I'm in. In fact, I don't like all the minutiae of an event, but I love getting to meet more one-on-one, go deep with people and really teach them this business model. Because every time I do, I have testimony after testimony after testimony of not just how much money they made, but the things they're doing in their life. I just got one today of a student and his wife. They wound up finally being able to buy a property in Italy, and they're training kids now on how to do roofing projects because of the money they're making from what I taught them. And that's what it's about for me, right? And that's what I implore you to do in your life, is figure out what your true vision and why is. But yeah, reach out to me if you're interested in the events coming up. Let me know. But when they do come out, jump on them right away, because they do sell out. And the price is always, we keep it as minimal as we could just to cover the cost. Anything extra, a lot of times when we're there, people just donate money to the causes, right? But anything extra goes to the cause. And we put on a pretty nice event. So it's, again, like I said, I'm not an event planner, but I love to do stuff like that. And we try to keep it at like 2 to 3 a year max. It's just a lot of work to put on an event.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope everyone has a happy Tuesday. Dan, huge thank you again for joining us, taking the time out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure. It was great. It was great talking to you guys, and looking forward to. Oh, real quick, there's me and Augie. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, there he is.
For the big donation. Yeah, he had some thank you letters. I just had him pull it up. I wanted to see it. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. That was at my last event. Yeah. So thanks for having me. And it was an honor and a blessing to be here with you guys. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you have any, positive reviews that come out of it, you've tried it and works, let me know, because that's what gets my juices flowing. That's why I keep doing what I do. Once again, it's loving on you guys. And I appreciate you. Have a great day. Have a great week. And just, crush the rest of the year.
That's right. Thanks, everybody. Y'all take care.